the 192 government channel. And
now it's the 192.
No, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got confused. I was looking at the monitor for a second.
You were, and there's no teleprompt. You had to wing it, and you didn't quite cut the grade. Not up to par this afternoon, Jeffrey. We're on 91.3 WCUW on your FM dial.
I will tell you who is up to par. Our next guest nailed that. You see that segue? Nailed it.
Nice. You played it off very well.
So we have two special guests. Why don't you introduce them?
I've been waiting. I've been waiting all show for this, and it is a pleasure, and an honor to introduce the folks to a couple of gentlemen who've been with Workforce Central for quite a long time. Two managers, two supervisors who have spearheaded and led the organization for several years. Kevin Crowley, operations manager at Workforce Central, been with the organization for 37 years.
Yes, sir. I started when I was 12.
And he looks not a day over 21. And Mike Beaudry, who has been with us for 30 plus years as well. So, I mean, just do the math there. That's 30, 60, almost 70 years of experience. And the reason that we have him here today, folks, is that sadly, but on a congratulatory basis, these two gentlemen will be leaving our offices and going on to greener pasture, if you will, a new horizons, a new phase of their life. They're both retiring at the same time. Very fitting that you leave at the same time. And when is your last day?
June 29th, this Thursday. Next Thursday.
Whatever.
This Thursday works.
Today's every Thursday. It's like senioritis. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
And, we really just kind of wanted to spend a few minutes with you guys and not only showing our appreciation and being grateful for your services from customers to vendors to the CBOs who you've worked with in the past, but as peers, as friends, as, co-workers who, truly respect the work and the time that you've put in. And just wanted to kind of, get some sense of, your experiences and the highs, the lows, the goods, the bads, and what you're looking forward to doing in the next phase.
Going to the beach.
Beach, right off the bat.
There you go.
A little rest and relaxation.
Well, I did an assessment a while ago, and it came out as my best occupation is beach bum.
That works.
Yep.
Perfect
Mike,
timing.
how about you? What's
You've got
on the
me beat.
horizon?
I have nothing for the summer, and then after that, I'll be looking at different opportunities and hopefully doing some volunteer work and just trying to relax and do things that I like instead of.
There we go. Instead of having to commit to
Instead
a
of going to
full-time
work.
thing.
Not that we dislike.
Not that we dislike.
Right.
So let's start from the beginning. How did it all begin? How did you guys start off with the work that you're doing with Workforce Central?
So you were 12, and you were tired of the paper route.
Right.
So you
Graduated from college with an English major, and nobody wanted to hire me. Surprise, surprise. So I actually became a part of what's called the Public Service Employment Program under the Carter administration. It goes back a few years. And the whole point of the program was to give folks a chance to get some work experience, and if the employer liked them, they would hire them. I hooked up with a company out of Peabody called Module Incorporated that subcontracted with what municipalities do in-house now, and I get great experience there. And in 1980, when I found out my wife was pregnant with twins and I had to get a real job, a position with the city opened up, and I went after it, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow.
Yep.
So 1980. How about you, Mike? How did you get involved?
Well, it's interesting because it's ironic that Kevin and I are leaving the same day because he's really the one that got me into the city of Worcester. Those were the days when you would have to know somebody to get into the city, not like today. I'm clarifying that. So I came to the city to go to school at Worcester State, got a volunteer job at the Worcester Crisis Center, and then was hired by them to help manage New Directions Outreach Center down on in the Main Street area a lot of years ago. From there, I taught Upward Bound programs, and then I worked for U-Inc.
So this is through New Directions?
Yeah. Well, no, I went from New Directions to U-Inc.
Okay.
And at U-Inc. I did their only adult program, work for Worcester Employment Resource Center. And then I did coaching, teaching survival skills through an Upward Bound program out of Treasure Valley. And then from there on, I met Kevin.
And then Kevin said, hey, we've got
Here
an
I
opening
am.
down here. You should apply for it.
I recruited this guy. He had all the right stuff.
So how has, if you look at where kind of career training, career development, the services that Workforce Central kind of offers or whatever, or just in general how our public system works today, what's changed over the years? What's some trends or whatever that you've seen? How has, you'd mentioned before, there used to be maybe a federal program that would support a job.
Technology has certainly come to the forefront, as it should. I realize we're in the 21st century, but one thing I think is key and hopefully carries on is that human contact, that face-to-face, that interpersonal approach, because we're dealing with human beings, we're in human services, we're not making refrigerators, that type of thing. So that's to me the most significant thing you have to remember.
Yeah, I think it's technology, the fact that there weren't computers when we started. Everything was done on paper. And there was no social media, which today has affected everything that people do. People are so closely connected by the social media that before you would have to go 5 miles to get to a phone to call somebody, and today it's totally changed.
So in terms of that, kind of cuts both ways, right? People have to be mindful of what they're doing on social media, as well as a tool for finding out about opportunities or seeing what. They also have to be mindful that what's public and not and all that, right? And,
Right.
And employers these days utilizing social media as a background check almost,
Sure,
right?
exactly. Yes.
So maybe can you share some stories? I mean, I think it's obviously pretty incredible, all the things that you've seen in your careers. You've been at several locations, worked with literally thousands of job seekers and different programs and staff. I mean, what's any kind of anecdotes stand out? Some of the characters. I'm sure there's been a cast of characters coming through the office.
Well, the Christmas parties in the old days, but can't go there.
Right. We are on public TV.
Again, we're
yes.
talking about maybe past practices and the more flexibility back then to do things as organizations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it was a great crew. There's just the people over the years, going back, the Don Andersons, the Sharon Leahys, and I know I'm going to miss somebody, but all those great folks to be able to work with, and it actually had a good time. Sheila,
Folks that when I came in helped really kind of take me under their wing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the people.
And you guys have been in multiple locations. You've seen the changes both physically and financially, and the highs and lows. I mean, when you reflect on that, and obviously moving on, the system, in terms of what Workforce Central can be and is or has been, it's a vital and key element, a strong organization for customers out there. And you guys have been customer service friendly since I met you, and obviously before. 30 years plus working with the customers. How do you, when you sit back and reflect on that, how do you feel about that? I'm sure you feel proud and it's been a rewarding experience, but maybe from hearing it from you guys,
Just it's all about the customer. Whether it's no matter what kind of day you're having, you imagine how it would be if you were in their shoes. And basically, customer comes first, and never forget that. Lose sight of that. That's really what it's all about.
Getting to know, I guess, the inside or what people are thinking. You see people come in the door every day, and you don't know the story until you sit down with them and actually know it. And there are a lot of heartbreaking stories out there of folks that lose their job, got out of jail, or things that happened that really were, fate and not their fault. But it's so rewarding when you see them get back on their feet and get things back together and take care of their families.
And I know that you guys have been intricately involved with our training programs, a lot of our training programs.
Sure.
And just speaking as managers who oversaw that program, maybe letting some of our customers and our clientele, folks who aren't familiar with Workforce Central, what is our training programs like? What are they there for, and what kind of service is that for them?
Let me defer to Mike on that, because
Sure,
he's the
absolutely.
training guru as
Sure.
far as I'm concerned.
Okay, well, for quite some time, for years, we've gotten federal grants through the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act now. Used to be WIA, and then JET prior to that. A person can come in and be lacking of skills. And the classic example I like to give is that folks that worked in a company for 15, 20, 25 years, and their skill levels don't meet the current market. Well, we can write grants and also take people in directly to get that training, to get their tech skills back up and get them back into work in the current economy and manufacturing segment. So those are big things, but a person technically can get $5,000 in tuition we literally have hundreds and hundreds of approved programs. It has to be a year or less, and they have to have a high school diploma or
So
a
that
GED.
short term, get back on your training you need to get back on your feet.
Exactly.
It is interesting, though, if things kind of come in full circle under WIO with the new legislation and the new federal guidelines. They're looking at ways that localities can get back to maybe funding some hands-on experience work. Almost what is it, the PPEP or whatever they had called it back in the day.
Because I go back to the day where you'd fund a classroom full of a certain occupation, would be machinists or nurses. And this guy Beaudry comes along and he says, that's the wave of the future of these individual training accounts. It's all about the customer off the shelf. This time, I said, yeah, no way. And obviously, I was wrong. but I think there's a place for classroom training, especially if an employer comes into the area, says, yeah, if you can train me 20 CNC machinists, I will hire them at this rate. And pulling together a full class full of machine candidates, I think makes sense. I think it's what the market dictates.
Really, yeah. Mike, what's a typical day for you?
Now?
Well,
Now it's trying to get my brain picked before I leave. I'll go out the door. Well, a typical day is basically it's dealing with career counselors that have customers that they're trying to get through some goals with, and they need information about schools. They need to know exactly what they have to do in terms of quality assurance to get the person's file together to get them approved. And basically, I work with schools in a lot of ways. They contact me and ask about training that they might provide to the community. So we've got our best team that is out there looking at manufacturing and bringing back information to us so that we can talk to the schools and get this typical skills that are needed, that are current, and so that we're not just
customer driven. Now, Kevin, I know that your typical day includes a lot of variety of activities. I think we have some footage actually of some of your typical workday kind of routine. Can we cut to that? Can we show some of that? There we are. Yep, you're in a meeting with the director and all. Oh, there we go. There's the moves. It's a typical day in the office.
my lawyer on speed dial.
There we go. Just a typical day. Uh-huh. Look at the moves there. That was very good.
It's Freddie and the Dreamers. I just remember Freddie and the Dreamers.
Janice is gonna kill me now. Actually. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So that was actually one of our colleagues was also retiring, and we put together a little video. And
Thanks, guys.
Stepping right up.
My next question was, could you share what are your fondest and most proudest moments? But Kevin, I guess we got yours on
we
video.
just-
I'm speechless, but
You know, we'd be pulling that from the archive.
I know. No, it's been a great ride. I can't say enough. I worked under 5 city managers over the years, starting with the legendary city manager McGrath. But hold on to city manager Augustus, people. He's the best thing that's happened to the city in years. And obviously, I'm on my way out, so I have no buy-in there.
No, exactly.
But, he's
Speak freely.
but it's been a great ride, and it's been great to work with someone like my esteemed colleague
you.
here.
Thank you.
All these years.
That's fantastic.
So we're talking with Mike Beaudry, project manager for Workforce Central, and Kevin Crowley, operations manager, 2 longtime leaders that will be retiring, and we want to again offer you congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Any other any other kind of final nuggets of wisdom you might want to throw at us?
Keep on rocking.
Perfectly said.
Ditto that.
Perfectly said.
Well,
Gentlemen,
guys,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best moving forward. It has
really
been a
has been
pleasure
our pleasure.
working with you.
Thank you
and
so
I wish
much.
you guys all the very
And it
best.
feels mutual. It's been a good ride.
It has been.
and we do have a couple more weeks with you to, like you said, pick your brain
Actually,
and
it's
make
just
sure.
a week.
Six days.
Don't add any more than that.
Mike has he get his doomsday clock going.
6 days,
The clock is working.
14 minutes. So
The
who's
clock is
counting?
working. You're gonna have to leave that behind,
Why?
because there'll be others.
Okay.
That could be like a.
Fair enough.
Oh, remember the bell you got from?
I do.
From Bounce.
That's
Now that's
facilitation
at home now.
drops in the
That's
future.
that's
And
at
I don't
home,
wanna go
but
there.
The clock should be a torch. Like,
countdown.
you're retiring. You now activate the clock.
Absolutely.
And you pass it along like a torch.
Absolutely.
Like a torch.
So, your legacy,
I like that
will
idea.
stay with us forever.
I like it.
That's a given
we'll
compared to
just-
all the knowing all the staff that you guys have helped trained over the years and get up to speed on all the programming. There's definitely a legacy left. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, we've got a couple more minutes in the show, and I know that you've been very active. You're actively combing through the labor market information for a segment we wanted to talk about with the numbers.
Yes, actually we do. We have some great numbers. If you want to turn your page, you want to turn your packet
My
to page
packet
7.
to page 7. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that I have put together for you to share with our customers.
You're turning it back on me, aren't
I
you?
am, because that's what I do. I delegate.
Well, the numbers just came out for May, and interesting enough, throughout the Commonwealth, there has been some business growth. And
Be careful, Michael.
And,
Be careful.
We're still wired up there.
Sorry, technical difficulties in the background.
And you can see on screen here that there has been growth in the Commonwealth and jobs since last year. Our metropolitan workforce area, the Worcester metropolitan area, has gained since last year about 7,000 jobs. So that's the good news, if you will.
That's the good news.
That's not to say though that it's in every area within our metropolitan area. That's the greater Worcester metropolitan area. So there's pockets, of stronger growth than others. But certainly it's good. It's a good trend that more people are working. And of course, one of the things that we're always looking at and working with our program partners on is the quality of those opportunities and how can folks move up in there.
Sustainable ages and then growth potential within those
Exactly.
positions. I mean, going back to one of your original conversations that we had about people being in a comfort zone in an area, again, these are opportunities where we want people to actually further their growth, both
Yes.
professionally and personally. I mean, it obviously goes hand in hand. So there's
Yeah.
some
And of course, that's
one.
one of the things is it's like one of the balancing acts, if you will, for our system is training folks for what might be a foot in the door to a career, but we want them to have, so, hey, maybe we're training a young person or someone looking to get into the medical field for like a medical assistance role or a CNA, but hopefully they're not going to end there, right? They're going to move up the...
Well, you know what? A lot of it is folks want to, if they've been accustomed to a certain wage, they don't want to obviously go backwards in that sense. And then there are those who are starting and they expect a wage because they feel like they need to be at that level to start. But at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere and build from within.
And it's certainly always easier to get that next opportunity that you want if you have an opportunity that you're working at now, right? I mean, there's
Absolutely.
nothing,
And
maybe you might not be totally satisfied with your job, but while you're training for the next opportunity, you can be getting
Keep your eyes and ears open, do
get the
your
bills
work,
paid.
get
Yep.
the bills
You're not
paid.
coming from desperation at that point.
And there are a lot of companies that are looking for internal growth, but then there are parallel companies that you can use these skills and your experience to better yourself as you move forward. So, and again, this is a mindset that we try to talk. Again, when we're talking to customers, we're not only talking about specific jobs, but we're also talking about a mindset, an attitude, a philosophy, a strategic approach to moving forward, starting with day one, and then having a game plan, a 3, 5, 10-year game plan in terms of what you want to do, where you want to be. So, again, this is a mindset, and we have some great programs. Bounce is one of those programs that we talk about a lot. People have heard us reference that in the past. It's where people can do a lot of reflection, some honest evaluation of themselves, their strengths, their weaknesses, their goals, and how we can work together to bridge the gap between that and employers that are looking for qualified candidates.
And of course, that's where our system comes in. And unfortunately for us, as a system, funding is often tied to there's just one
Absolutely.
side of the equation, which is the unemployment rate.
Right.
So the unemployment rate has remained low in the area in the Commonwealth.